Victor Newman's Mind Games, Jack and Kyle Abbott's Traps and Deceptions in the World of Strategy and Intrigue on the Young and the Restless. One of the most notable characters is none other than Victor Newman. A man with the ability to control everything around him, Victor has built elaborate networks and ambitious plans to ensure that his position of power is never threatened. However, in a world where trust is always fragile, Victor's schemes can be turned upside down by those he trusts the most. And in an unexpected move, Jack and Kyle Abbott, two members of the Abbott family, plan to destroy Victor's strategy in a more sophisticated way than anyone could have imagined. A risky move. Kyle's doubt. The story begins with a small but important detail: Kyle Abbott's skepticism about an employee named Matheson. Unlike the rest of the Abbott family, Kyle never ignores small signs that could indicate a potential threat. When he discovers that something is wrong with Matheson, Kyle immediately begins investigating, leading the Abbott family into a new strategy they never thought of. Kyle and Jack suspect that Victor may have planted a spy in Abbott, the company owned by the Abbott family. This is a move that Victor has always made to protect his power, but this time, the suspect is not an unknown individual but a strategy that could change the entire game. With Kyle's help, Jack decides not to let Victor get away with his tricks. They begin to devise a counter-strategy, not only to protect Abbott, but also to beat Victor at his own game. Spies and fake intelligence, a sophisticated plan. With their new plan in hand, Jack and Kyle decide that they will not only expose the people Victor has planted in his company, but also control the information these spies receive. This is where Victor's spies start to run into trouble. Jack and Kyle understand that if they feed fake intelligence to these people, it will get back to Victor, and he will believe that his plan is working. But in reality, that information will lead Victor into a quagmire, making him believe that his strategy is working when it is completely failing. These spies, who have been paid by Victor to work at Abbott, will now be paid by Jack and Kyle to turn the tables. They are no longer people Victor can fully trust. Instead of reporting exactly what is happening in the company, these spies will become part of the elaborate counterattack plan that Jack and Kyle have created. Victor's heart attack. When things fall apart, Jack and Kyle's covert moves finally come to a dramatic end. Victor, who has always been confident in his ability to control every situation, suddenly suffers a strong psychological shock when he discovers that what he believed was completely wrong. His spies are not the loyal people he thought, and the plan that Victor has built over the years is now completely ruined. The feeling of betrayal and the collapse of the strategy causes Victor to suffer a heart attack, a manifestation of stress and inevitable failure. Michael Baldwin, who was once Victor's trusted advisor, now finds himself in a dilemma when he discovers that he has been deceived as well. This deception not only affects Victor, but also upsets everyone around him. Michael, who prides himself on his intelligence and analytical skills, now feels lost in a game he doesn't even realize he's playing. Jack and Kyle come up with a counterattack plan, a sophisticated psychological game. However, what Victor doesn't realize is that Jack and Kyle have come up with a strategy that's smarter than ever. They don't just want to destroy Victor, but also make him feel like his strategy is still on track. This will make Victor more confident in his plan, creating an illusion of success that will ultimately lead to total failure. In a brilliant move, Jack and Kyle decide to feed the agents false intelligence, with the goal of making Victor think that everything is fine and that he's getting closer to his goal. Not only would this information make Victor believe in his success, but it would also give Jack and Kyle access to the flaws in his strategy. When this false information was passed on to Victor, everything would collapse beyond repair. Victor's plans have been completely destroyed in a way no one could have predicted. The people he trusted have betrayed him, and all the elaborate strategies he has built are now a mess. His best friend Michael is also confused and disappointed, realizing that he has been tricked into playing his own game. Meanwhile, Jack and Kyle Abbott, two characters Victor always considered enemies in the game of power, have succeeded in defeating him. They not only protect Abbott, but also restore the Abbott family's power in a game that Victor thought he controlled. But every strategy has its price, and for Victor, the price of overconfidence and impossible plans is a crushing defeat at the hands of people he never imagined would push him into such a terrible turn. The game of power on the young and the restless has never been simple. The elaborate strategies, deceitful plots, and surprising counterattacks are always the highlights of the film's appeal. And while Victor Newman has always been known to be a man who is not easily defeated, this story proves that even he can be defeated when he is deceived by the people he trusts. The story of Jack and Kyle Abbott is a perfect example of how intelligence, patience, and courage can change the course of a power game that has lasted for many years. The truth behind the scheme. Jack and Kyle Abbott's deception and Victor Newman's rage in the world of power struggles, strategy, and intrigue on the young and the restless. Every move, every decision can change the outcome. And none of these characters are as capable of creating breakthroughs and surprises as Victor Newman. However, in a risky move, two members of the Abbott family, Jack and Kyle, risk their strategy to deceive Victor. They succeed in creating a counterattack, but this leads to a chain of events they could not have foreseen, and Michael Baldwin's loyalty to Victor may lead him into an inescapable storm. The deception begins. Jack and Kyle's web of deception. Michael Baldwin, a man who has always been at the center of the intrigues of Genoa City's powerful, now finds himself the middleman in a dangerous game. Jack and Kyle Abbott, Victor's former arch-rivals, set out to defeat him once again. But this time, they couldn't confront Victor directly in the usual way. Instead, they decided to take advantage of Michael's trust by spreading carefully prepared fake news. These fake news, passed through Michael's hands, were not simply false news, but were also cleverly designed to appear as credible data about the Newman Company's new products. All Jack and Kyle had to do was trick Michael into thinking that this was important information, and if Victor received it, he would be unable to resist investing in these products, thus making Victor's plan look ridiculous. With Michael's help, this fake news would be sent without arousing suspicion. Michael, who has worked alongside Victor for many years, would never have thought that the news he was delivering could be a lie. And this was the first step in Jack and Kyle's strategy. Victor falls into the trap, trust and sabotage strategy. When Victor receives this false information, he will act immediately. With a sharp eye for the market and business strategy, Victor will realize that this is an opportunity not to be missed. He will invest time and money in attracting these products, believing that they will be an important part of Newman Enterprises' future plans. However, Victor does not know that he is being subtly deceived. Victor's trust in Michael, as well as the relationships he has built, blinds him to the truth behind this information. And when he realizes that he has been deceived, anger flares up in Victor. His rage will not be the reaction of someone who has been deceived, but of someone who has been directly attacked in the power struggle he has always believed he had. Lauren Fenmore warns, Michael Baldwin's dangerous path. While Victor is beginning to realize the deception, Michael Baldwin is facing a crucial choice. Lauren Fenmore, Michael's loving wife and the person who knows him best, has an ominous warning. She knows that Michael is on a dangerous path by being so deeply involved with Victor. Despite Michael's strong feelings and loyalty to Victor, Lauren cannot help but worry about the risks he may face by continuing to participate in these dark plans. Lauren knows that Michael may be drawn into making bad decisions, and as the truth about this deception begins to emerge, Michael may be caught in Victor's wrath. It is not just a matter of money or power, but also a matter of loyalty and honor. Michael may be asked to take steps that he cannot undo, steps that could destroy everything he has built over the years. However, Michael's loyalty to Victor, which he has maintained for many years, will be difficult to shake. No matter how much Lauren advises him, Michael may still feel bound by the duty and responsibility he feels towards Victor, who has given him opportunities and guided him through many trials. But this may land him in a difficult situation from which there is no easy way out. Victor's rage and the implications for Michael. When Victor discovers that Jack and Kyle have lied to him, an uncontrollable rage will erupt within him. Victor is a powerful man, and when he is lied to, his revenge is never gentle. He will not only seek revenge on Jack and Kyle, but will also seek to punish those who helped them. And one of the people Victor will target is Michael. Michael, whether he was involved in the plan or not, will be held accountable for this deception because he was the one who allowed the false information to get into Victor's hands. Once Victor is angry, no one is safe. Michael may have to face the wrath of a man he was once very loyal to, and this is a fight he could not have foreseen. The end, it all comes to disaster when everything starts to fall apart. Jack and Kyle may have to face serious consequences. But while they may have succeeded in deceiving Victor, they can't quite control the rage they've unleashed. Michael's relationship with Victor will be severely tested, and if Michael doesn't know when to stop, he could lose not only his wife's trust, but also his career and reputation in Genoa City. With every move, Jack and Kyle's deception is more than just a power play. It's a double-edged sword that can cut through any relationship, and in the world of the young and the restless, no one can predict the consequences of these elaborate schemes. Schemes and deception, Victor Newman's crisis and uncontrollable rage in the world of strategy, intrigue, and fierce mind games on the young and the restless. Few can match Victor Newman, the powerful man who always seems to have control over every situation. However, when elaborate plots begin to target him, even Victor cannot predict the outcome of his seemingly unbreakable plans. Victor's relationships with his family and those closest to him are no exception, especially when Nikki, the wife Victor has always trusted, may betray him. The plans of Jack and Kyle Abbott, Victor's longtime enemies, begin to take shape, bringing about an inevitable chain of events. A new power play, Jack and Kyle plan. It all starts when Jack and Kyle Abbott, who have always sought to defeat Victor, realize that they cannot defeat him directly. So they decide to adopt a more stealthy strategy. They plan to use fake intelligence and make it part of their counter-strategy. However, this information needs to go through Michael Baldwin, who has always acted as a go-between for all major matters at Newman Enterprises. Michael, who has been a trusted person to Victor for many years, cannot doubt the information that Jack and Kyle have prepared. If they do it properly, Michael will not notice anything unusual. This fake information will go smoothly, and this is the first step in Jack and Kyle's plan to deceive Victor. The two understood that in order to defeat Victor, they could not use a direct confrontation but had to convince him that they were still leading the situation the way he wanted. Misinformation and Victor's crisis. When Victor received updates on new products that the company was developing, he believed that this was an opportunity that could not be missed. Victor was a visionary, and these new products could be the perfect piece of Newman Enterprises' expansion strategy. He had no doubt that this information was false, and began to make decisions to invest heavily in those products. In pursuit of his ambitions, Victor was willing to spend time and money to realize his plans, believing that these steps would bring great success. However, what was worse was that when Victor realized that he had been deceived, it was too late. The crisis involved not only money but also a great loss of reputation and power. Victor begins to feel betrayed by everyone he trusted, especially his family, and Nikki, the wife he thought would always be there for him. Nikki and betrayal, a pain from the one closest. In a surprising twist, Victor discovers that Nikki is not only innocent in the plot, but that she has also been providing secret information to Jack. Victor's feelings of betrayal from his wife only add to his anger. Victor has always trusted Nikki's loyalty in every major decision, despite knowing that Nikki has complicated relationships with people outside the family. But now he must face a painful truth: Nikki has been involved in helping Jack, whom he has always considered an enemy. This discovery puts Victor in a state of extreme stress. His rage was not simply the anger of a man who had been deceived, but also the betrayal of someone he had always trusted completely. The trap set by Jack and Kyle had shaken everything Victor had ever built. The mental crisis that Victor experienced was not just anger but could also affect his health. This discovery caused such a strong psychological shock that Victor could face a heart attack. This was the moment when Victor realized that not everything was in his control. His relationship with his family, especially with Nikki, had been pushed to the limit of no return. But like a wounded tiger, Victor's rage became a source of motivation for revenge. Once he realized that he had been deceived, Victor could not sit still. He is determined to get revenge on Jack and Kyle, not only for what they did to his company but also for the betrayal he suffered from the person closest to him. Lauren Fenmore and the worrying warning. While Victor is seeking revenge, Michael Baldwin is at a critical crossroads. Michael's wife, Lauren Fenmore, knows what he's facing. She knows that Michael's loyalty to Victor could put him on a dangerous path. Michael has always been the one in the middle of Victor's strategies, But now, getting involved in this deceitful plan could put him in an irreversible situation. Lauren worries that Michael may be asked to go too far in carrying out Victor's plan, and that this could push him over the edge of no return. She hopes that Michael will realize when to stop before things become irreversible. But with his strong loyalty, can Michael really stay out of this dangerous game? Michael Baldwin's uncertain future. Despite Lauren's warnings, Michael may find it difficult to let go of Victor, who has been with him through thick and thin. But the question is, can Michael's loyalty save him from making a fatal mistake, or will he be caught up in the storm that Victor is creating? Both Jack and Kyle know that once Victor discovers this plan, the consequences will not only affect the company, but also everyone involved in this conspiracy. Victor's rage will not stop until he takes revenge on those who have deceived him. The end, the aftermath and the fallout. Jack and Kyle's plan succeeded, but they could not have predicted the consequences it would bring. Victor, in his utmost rage, will do everything he can to get revenge on those who caused him such pain. Michael, although not directly involved in the conspiracy, will be responsible for the consequences that his blind loyalty has caused. Will he be able to avoid Victor's wrath and the severe consequences that await? The answers will only be revealed in the coming days, as the power struggle between Victor and the Abbott family becomes more intense than ever. In the world of the young and the restless, no one is safe, and any strategy can end in disaster, especially when trust is broken and deceitful schemes begin to take effect.